The other question that I want to answer is, what happens if your children at the time of application was 20 years and a half? Definitely, by the time you are through with your process, the child will have gone beyond 21 years of age. So what happens to such a situation? If at the time of application your child had not attained 21 years, you are supposed to have included him or her in the application. And if the child turns 21 before the results are out, or before you go for the interview, or before you immigrate to the US, there is a law protecting that, and it is called the Child Status Protection Act. That act protects all children that will turn 21 during the process, the DV process. So the law requires that that child that has turned 21 be treated as though he or she is still under 21 years of age, and you will immigrate with him or her, even if he turns 21 during the process. The only condition is that at the time of the application, the child was not above 21 years of age. Is that clear? I hope so. As I'm nearing the conclusion of this video, I want to discuss a very important aspect, and this is regarding the children of single parents. So, single parents, I bring you on board and let's discuss on this. So you are there and you are a single parent and you've won the DV lottery. And that means you have children that you included in the application. There is one thing that is not outlined on the DV website, but I must tell you, and that is the issue of the consent of the other parent. What you should know is that even if you are raising those children alone, without the intervention of the other parent, those children, they don't belong to you alone. By the virtue of raising them alone, that does not mean that they belong to you. They don't. And by that I mean, you cannot make any decision over those kids without the consent of the other parent. Even if at the point of birth you gave birth to the children and from that point on the other parent did not show up, the other parent still has custody over those children. And therefore, since you have known this, even on decisions regarding immigrating, you want to go with those children to the US because you have won the green card. You will not go with them. The decision lies on the both of you, the parents. And you will not be allowed at the point of exit to move out with your children. Even during the interview, you will be required to have the consent letter from the other parent. And that entirely means that if you are there and you are a single parent with kids, you have to look for the consent of the other parent, a signed consent letter, stamped consent letter from the other parent. allowing you to proceed with the DV lottery process with the children. The consent letter will give you permission to move out of the country with the children. It is so very important. So if you have any access to that parent, get to him or her and let him or her sign the consent letter for you. Now, the other question may arise, and how about if I cannot access the other parent? What if I can't reach him or her? What do you do? There is a procedure that will place the full custody of the children on you. That is a legal procedure, but it's not as easy as I have mentioned it. For you to obtain a full custody over the children, the first thing is that not behaving to the other parent. I mean, it must be impossible for you to get the consent letter from the other parent. If you try to file for the full custody of your children while the parent still exists and you can reach him or her, then you might not be successful, because the other parent will claim the custody over the children, and the other parent has the right. He has the right over the children, and you cannot snatch the right of the other parent from him or her. So, if you gave birth to children and the parent is nowhere to be reached, then you can obtain the full custody through the legal procedure. But if at all the children are in good relationship with the other parent, or the other parent can be found, therefore the way to go around it is to look for the consent letter from the parent. You look for the consent letter from the parent. So, two ways for you single parents. You look for the consent letter, but if it is impossible to get the consent letter because of one reason or the other, then obtain the full custody of the children. And with either of those two documents, then you can proceed with the DV process and immigrate to the US without a hitch. Finally, and this is to answer the comments. If you don't intend to immigrate with your derivatives, that provision is given. You can choose not immigrating with you while filling the DS-260 form. But if you ask me, I would advise you that it would be easier for you if you intend for the derivatives to join you at a later date, for you to indicate immigrating with you and go through the process, the entire process with them. And after the interview, if you become successful, you leave your derivatives or your family behind, then move to the US, go and do your business, work there, and get a place for them. And then within the 6 months period that you are given, send them the requirement, the ticket and whatever, and have them come and join you. That is the simplest and the easiest and the cheapest way to have your family with you in the US. And why am I saying so? If you're not intending to immigrate with them, but you want them to join you at a later date, and you select that on the DS260, intending them to join me a later date. If you do that, that means you will continue with the process alone. Go to the medical alone. Go to the interview alone. And after you've obtained the visa and you've gone to the US, you will not as easily as you think be able to bring them to join you. No, it will not be easy. You will have to follow the full procedure of bringing them to the US through the family visa. You'll have to file for them for the visa. And that process takes even more than 3 years for you to process. And it is a tedious one. And it's very expensive. And you'll not be guaranteed the first time you try that they will get their visas. So it will be a whole process, a very tedious one. So if you don't have enough resources to bring your family with you to the US, what you're supposed to do as a good advice is try your best and process the diversity visa with all your family. Indicate that you are immigrating with them on the DS264 and go to the medical examination with them and do the interview with them. And if successful and you get the visa, leave them behind because you have 6 months for the visas to expire. That is before you move to the US. Therefore, go alone. Leave them within these 6 months. Go and work out your ways. Get whatever you want, whatever you can, and then send them and have them come and join you. Simplest and cheapest. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I have answered most of your questions, if not all. If you have extra questions, you feel free to ask them on the comment. I'll be ready and willing to take you through the questions. Otherwise, you know the drill, guys. Subscribe if you have not and like the video and also support the channel. Let's meet in the next video.